We're recording today on the lands of the Yuggera people, and we acknowledge the traditional elders here, past, present and emerging. Hello and welcome to Beyond the Rona. I'm Andrea, former registered nurse and midwife and community advocate.
And hey, I'm Tim. I'm a digital marketer and a small business owner.
Well, today we're just chatting, I guess, about what we've experienced so far. And it's a bit of a catch-up to look over our previous episodes. So, Tim, how's it been for you so far? We've done quite a few episodes. It's been a bit of a journey so far. It has been.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I also I really love this idea that you had of every few episodes we come together and just look back on who we spoke to, what were some of the points that stuck out for us. I think that this is a great way to take stock of what we've heard from in the community, and then also the things that we can actually do, organize together to make those changes that we want to see in our community. So yeah, I love that idea. And so far for me, I've really enjoyed, we're only a few episodes in, but I've really enjoyed, the conversations that we've had with the guests and what we've learned from them.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned so much in just a few episodes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been good. I think, I got a bit cringy, I think, watching the first recording that you sent me. I was like, I just don't know if if we should keep going. I was like, God, I was like really stiff sort of looking, and just, I just didn't know if this was the right thing to do or whether, this was going to continue. It was like, yeah, it was just kind of a weird thing. And, to tell you the truth, like, I'd listened to probably what you would call podcasts, but like it wasn't actually like named podcasts before. And so, when we first started, I kind of had to Google what is a podcast, and like just figure out what exactly we were doing, and just figure out like what equipment we would need to do this, and, what was the best way to do this, and the most efficient, and it was all new. And so the whole experience of it has been just like, but I think slowly I'm getting the hang of it and getting a bit better, hopefully.
Oh, I think you're a natural.
You reckon?
Natural podcast host. I think, for those of you who just listen to us on the podcast, you can also watch us on our YouTube channel. So yeah, I think that's the thing, is like, humans don't seem to ever be really comfortable watching themselves back or even listening to themselves back. Like, I think it's such a kind of negative experience that we have when we listen to ourselves. But
it is, because I didn't know my voice sounds like that. You can kind of hear your own voice, but you don't really hear your own voice. And then, like, I was listening to your voice compared to mine and just going, this is like really cringy. I don't know if we should keep doing this. Yeah. And then I was watching myself on the YouTube one, just going, oh my God, people are going to watch this. Like, and then I was noticing that, like, I had roots, like, I need to do my roots again, just I was picking myself completely apart. Like, why do I have a fluoro light up there? Like, this is not good. Everything. I picked it apart. Yeah. Well,
yeah. I mean, I can relate. I also have the same thoughts, but yeah, I think it's after a while. I think once you kind of, I don't think maybe perhaps.
And I forgot to say goodbye to you on just about every episode. Yeah, I did notice that.
We'll make up for it on this one.
Yeah.
We'll have a.
I know it's going to be like locked in my brain now every single time. And then, like, I just blab and blab and blab and then forget that to even, like, throw over to you and say, oh, Tim, Do you have an opinion on this? Like, as if my opinion is the only one that matters? I think I even wrote in the notes once, Tim agrees. Like, Tim agrees with Andrea. This is where you agree, okay?
Yes.
Tim nods approvingly.
We get to that point, and
Tim agrees. Yes.
But just to put it out there, we do agree on actually like most issues. So
I think
those are very safe to say.
Yeah, I think that's why it was easy for both of us to actually do this together. It's because like we tend to have like a very similar, we are on the same wavelength when it comes to these sorts of issues. I mean, we haven't found anything fundamentally that we really disagree with, Tim agrees, yes. Tim nods.
Yes.
That's in the notes.
But let's see where it takes us. And I think that how we can supplement that on the podcast is also, bring people onto the show that have different views to us, and I think that that's going to be really good to see, that kind of represent, the society and how diverse everyone's views are.
Yeah. I think kind of, it is a bit of a sticky situation when you do get other, views that come up that you're kind of going, that's a bit iffy. Don't know how it, because the one thing that I want to do is like when it's okay to have different views, but as long as everybody is included, like I find that a bit difficult when you have, we can have other views out there that can help our community move forward, but as long as like there's not a pocket of the community that's going to be excluded, because that's something that's not going to be good for our community. So yeah, sure, we can have all these other changes happen and we can help each other move forward and build back better and all that sort of stuff. But you don't want to have that at the expense of like a minority group that's going to be left out in the cold, or, you want to make sure that everybody's voices are heard and to make sure that everybody's included and everybody's, not going to be worse off.
Yes. Oh, Tim agrees.
Tim agrees. Yes. Good. Good training.
No discrimination. I that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I think that first episode we had, the first one was Dr. Joan Carlini, and we had Kirsty Petersen. Now, Dr. Joan Carlini was a researcher from Griffith University, and she did some research like a year prior, looking at vaccine hesitancy in the community and in our local community, actually, which was really good research, and finding out that she found out that, we had about a 60 to 70% vaccination rate, of people who would get vaccinated. So we knew back then that there was, about 30% of people that we had to kind of investigate further to find out why they wouldn't get vaccinated and what we could do in terms of marketing and messaging and, to try and bring up that vaccination rate. So I think that was a really important discussion to try and, have a look at what sort of things we could do to address that. And I mean, over time, we've managed to get, into those groups, but not without a whole lot of work. And, we're still missing out on pockets of the community, like the disability community and, multilingual communities where, they're still missing out on bringing up that vaccination rate, really vulnerable people. So,
yes.
The vaccination rollout was, it was a bit of a shambles. We got to admit, it wasn't done very well. It could have been done better. But it was a good discussion, I thought. What was your thoughts on that one?
I really enjoyed that conversation. I think of all the great points that came up, the thing that kind of stuck with me was her third big idea which was actually around looking beyond local, and absolutely, I think that research is very insightful here in Logan and kind of Brisbane, but also not just looking locally, but what can we learn outside of even the country and into other cities around the world, and that kind of idea that we are global citizens, and that idea of actually a lot of different cities are some cities are very similar in terms of their makeup and perhaps their desire to follow health orders, and what are they, where are they at in their journey, and what can we learn from that? And I think that idea of just kind of like looking beyond our immediate surroundings, and also how we report on it. Like, local news is always so focused on our 3 main cities in Australia, and every now and then, on the ABC, sometimes you get these. I think it's Casey Briggs's The Curve update, which sometimes highlights different cities around the world. And I always think, oh, that's really fascinating to look at a city in Denmark or, somewhere like completely different, and how what dynamics are in play there. And I also like Kirsty's ideas around having a plan, and not just like a state plan or a city plan, but a personal plan. Like how can authorities and government help individuals come up with a COVID plan?
Yeah.
Like, what happens if we get COVID? Because it's actually highly likely that a lot of us will get it. So what do we do then? And then what's the plan for recovery? And that was a really good point.
And then we had Drew, and Drew's a character. Hey, like,
He is.
His passion is pretty infectious. And that's another thing, like, all the people that we seem to get on are quite passionate, like, which is something I really love to see. It is something that I've really, I've enjoyed. It's like bringing people on who are not only passionate about like everyday politics, but passionate about what they're doing, within our communities. It's, that's something that I didn't really expect. And I am loving is, letting people just blurt out their passions,
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. And that was a bit of a fun one for me, was having Drew, ramble, I think, about his
where he's been, his history.
His passion. It was good. Yeah. And I am really proud of him that he's 22. Like, I mean, no matter whether you would vote for him or not, like, I don't know, I've got a respect for him that he's 22. Like, I wasn't doing that at 22. Like,
no.
I just think, good on him. Like, I don't know. I think he's great.
Oh, I agree. What kind of stuck out for you? What was your kind of big learning?
Oh, look, I didn't. I think you get an impression of these people, when you read news reports and things like that. And I think I got an impression of him sort of being a little bit more antagonistic than what he actually is. And so by talking to him and him saying, that he'd never been in a fight in his life, and here he is, with these people wanting to fight him, and the fact that he didn't know what to chant, and so he just made up this chant, like, on spur of the moment sort of thing. Like, just these little things that he was saying, I thought was really, really personal, and really, I don't know, I just really liked that. These little things that he was saying, which are different to what you read in the news reports from Sky, where they paint him as this sort of almost like a terrorist. And so does the CCP, really, and he's just, he's not, he's just a regular everyday person who's trying to do his best.
He is, and he's got this amazing heart for society and also addressing inequality. I think that's and the way that he approaches it, like, is through, and what he talked about in your conversation with him was around activism, and like actually putting yourself on the line, and making a message, like, I guess amplifying a message to the most people in the real world as possible. And it made me reflect when I watched back that episode that you had with him, is like, activism really does polarize, and you get those people who look at what he's doing, don't approve it, and don't like him. And that is, I would say as well, kind of like propelled by what the media say.
Yeah.
But also, he's created strong support.
Yeah.
So I think activism does that thing where you got people either like are really with him and really believe in what he's fighting for, or really see him as the enemy. And it's good that he's getting that he's able to get support, because I think as someone who's running, like as he is with his own, the Democratic Alliance, it's hard to get support. I think like there's so much apathy in politics that if you can actually get strong support and build a movement, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was, he was a good one to talk to. And then we had Jo Westh from Four Voices. She's the founder of Four Voices. And we had a few conversations, but with her, like, that weren't recorded, and really having a look at, how endemic domestic violence is in the Logan area. And, it's just shocking. I mean, I worked in Logan Hospital, and, for a short period of time, we had a few conversations about that as well, and things that we had experienced in common. And, I think what stood out for me from what she had said is, that we managed to pivot so quickly when we had COVID. And a lot of people have said this, even in the disability community, where we had this problem of the pandemic come, and quickly we could pivot and bring out all of these solutions to this problem of COVID. But we've had this problem, whether it be to be able to work from home, where the disability community has been saying for decades, we want to be able to work from home. We've got the technology there, but nobody, they all said, oh no, that's too hard, that's too hard, that's too hard. All of a sudden we had COVID, and now we can work from home, and same as the domestic violence epidemic, that they've been saying, oh, we've got this problem with domestic violence. It's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. And nothing's being done about it. And that was really, that stood out for me as well. It's like, if they really wanted to do something about this, they would, the same way that, COVID came on and everybody was worried about the economy. So they did something about COVID, whereas they're not really all that worried about domestic violence. They're not really all that worried about, the numbers, the sheer numbers of people who are being affected by it. Excuse me. And that might be because it's not really affecting the politicians. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure whether it's because it's not affecting the economy the same way that COVID is. I don't know, but sorry, but it's not. It's not being managed in the same way that, the same way that COVID is. And yet, we still have one woman a week who's being killed by domestic violence, being killed by a current or a former partner. So, I mean, that is a lot of people being killed by domestic violence, yet nothing's being done about these numbers of, this mortality. And morbidity. We do have a lot of people who are being harmed by domestic violence, including the children of these families. So, surely there's something that can be done about this, but no. That stood out for me. What about for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really sobering to hear how bad the situation is, and I think, like, my hope is that us doing this and trying to be another voice out there that can help highlight just how shocking the situation is, and how the inaction is generational. Like, it's generational too. That point you make. The children are affected by this so negatively, and we know that there's a link there that ultimately passes the problem down, generations. And it's I think the work that she's doing is so incredibly important. So Four Voices, definitely, check out what they're doing. I think the way that they are really on the front line, they are the front line, because they have gone to where victims are. And, you know, in many instances, hearing about how a lot of the support systems that traditionally you think are there in community to help victims are in some cases actually quite ineffective.
Yeah.
And so I think that the model that she's taken to the community is like we need more of it. And I think that the work they're doing is so important. So as much as we can do to highlight what they're uncovering, what they're finding out, and also the where the solutions lie, because she had some great ideas as well on that point.
Yeah. I got a lot out of that one. It was it was good that she's kind of helping people to connect again. I think that was a good one. A lot of community services are talking about that you know the old saying that, you know, we have all this technology now, but we're still disconnected, you know. So, you know, that is something that we still have to work on. And then we had Asia, you know, following on with our sort of focus on women, which, you know, I kind of did a little bit on purpose because I guess taking it from you know, what's happening in a wider sense in our politics, where the people who have been the most affected by the COVID have been women and young people, you know, and so I kind of did want to have a bit of a focus on women and young people to start with. It doesn't mean that it'll all be a focus on women and young people, but and so then we had Asia, who's the Queensland president of Maternity Choices. And so, to have a chat to her about, you know, where this, you know, my body, my choice, and talking about like how women or pregnant people make the choice to not vaccinate, and talking about, you know, decision making in maternity care, and, you know, that kind of a little bit about the lack of choice in maternity care, and just kind of touching on that because you know, no doubt I've got some other feminists who are going to come through and have a chat to us along the way as well, which is really exciting. I'm really hoping I'll get some top, you know, feminist voices to come through and have a chat. So be prepared, Tim, to hear from some really strong feminist voices, which it'll be good. It will be. I'm glad that you're really open to hearing from these voices. You know, I think a lot of men get really sort of nervous to hear from feminist voices, and I'm really, really happy that you're not nervous to hear from them. You're actually excited to hear from them. I don't know if I was expecting you to be like nervous about that, or whether you would switch off, or whether, I don't know what I expected you to say when I sort of suggest this. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think there's a stereotype there. I think that, like, you know, even we touched on it a little bit in that episode with Asia, and I really enjoyed that conversation because I learned so much about an area which, unfortunately, I think, like, stereotypically blokes are disconnected from the problems that affect the other half of the population. And I really think we need to, like, shed light on the problems. I learned, you know, some of the stats that Asia was sharing are horrendous.
But then you never really shut that down, which is, you know, the idea of it or anything like that, which is really, it's good. I don't know whether that's internalized misogyny in me, that I'm expecting, if I talk about feminist stuff, I'm expecting a bloke to say, oh, can we not talk about that? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm always a bit nervous to kind of bring out that side in front of a bloke. I'm comfortable talking about that with other women because, like, that's my thing. But when there's a bloke in the room, I'm like, well, I don't know if we should actually talk about this, like, because there's a bloke there. Like, so it's good to actually think, oh no, they can actually listen. Like, it's okay. Well,
on behalf of blokes, we can. we can listen and also be outraged. Like I left, with that conversation, being really upset by what is actually happening to women in our taxpayer funded, like our funds are going into paying, an institution that is creating problems. And we need to, like Asia's big idea, we need to listen to women. We need to listen to their voices because it is their experience.
Yeah.
They're experiencing this firsthand.
Yeah, and maybe if we share these things between each other, there might be a bit better understanding,
If I may as well, like even to just jump sideways to a completely unrelated topic, in my profession around marketing, which is a world away. Where a lot of marketing starts is with empathy, like audience empathy, user empathy, and understanding who you're talking to and meeting them where they are, understanding what they're exposed to, what are their concerns, what are their problems. So I think in so many industries, like understanding more from the people who are directly affected is the route to the solution. And I think Asia so clearly explained that. And you can see that is so clearly the path to the solution. And yet in a lot of our institutions, they're not following that path. And so that's like, for me, almost like step one. We have to build empathy and understand people's issues and people's problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess that kind of leads us to understanding, what men can do to help, which is really, I guess, they talk about how, men want to kind of fix things, that they're, that's what they say. That's the stereotype, isn't it? That, when they hear about stuff, they want to fix things. So I guess that's, that's kind of step one is if we talk about, women's business, then we can sort of say, okay, well, this is what's going on. I suppose this is where you guys can help. And, as much as we don't want to break things into gender stereotypes, this is the world that we live in. We do have gender stereotypes in the world that we're in right now. We might not want to have it that way, and a lot of people might not want to have it that way, but this is what we have,
Exactly.
And I feel like we have to work with what we've got. We do have older white males who are making the decisions for us, and they are stereotypical old white men.
Yeah.
So, we do need to work with that until we get in there and change it.
Yeah. It's such a good point. It's the reality of our situation, as of, 2021. This is the situation. This is the system. I think, just like not being outraged about the system, but then understanding how to navigate it and, get closer to a solution, and keeping that in mind. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really excited when you said that we had our website up and we had a follower.
Yeah.
Was that your grandmother? Like
No
it
relation.
Wasn't.
So it's a genuine follower.
Oh my God.
So thank you, whoever you are.
I got this impression of your grandma sitting there knitting you a beanie or something, and she's like, "Oh, Timmy."
Just streamed your first episode, yeah.
Oh, you're a good lad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's exciting stuff. Yeah, beyondtherona.com. And I think as a bit of a segue, as you listen to these episodes, if you hear a topic, if you hear a subject that you're also passionate about, if you have a perspective, there's a contact, there's a message us button. Please hit it. Let us know, and we'd love to have a chat with you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably us today.
That is.
Yeah. That
was fun. It was a really good look back.
It was. And look, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. Yeah. Look, we're going to work on this. I've got my microphone in the right spot now, so hopefully everybody's heard me better. Yeah. And we got a heap lined up from now. Actually, one thing that we're going to add into our lineup is we're going to have a look at something on. We're going to do an episode on animal rights or something like that, isn't it? Like
animal welfare and I guess the broader kind of we've outlined in our first episode a lot of different topics, and one that we naturally do talk about a lot that we didn't mention was actually the broader kind of like ecology and the fact that we have in our community in Logan natural habitats being destroyed. And
the Eagle Beak wetlands is one of them. So okay, so I'm going to go and have a look into researching for that one. Okay.
That's a big one.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Well, that was a pleasure. Thank you, and see you next time.
See you next time. You've been listening to Beyond the Rona. Captioned audio is available on our YouTube channel. Follow us at beyondtherona.com to keep in touch. See you next time.